Prologue, Larry's tape. The image is a still frame, grainy 16mm film quality. It's a close-up of Larry, an American man in his late 30s. He's disheveled, sweat-stained, with hollowed eyes that speak of exhaustion and desperation. He wears a plain navy work polo with a small patch over the heart, Pablo's gas, Panay. He's sitting in the cramped, dimly lit glass clerk's booth of a newly built gas station somewhere deep in the rural province of Panay, Philippines. Outside the scratched window, the jungle is an absolute, heavy wall of blackness that seems to be pressing inward. Flickering fluorescent lights cast sickly green-yellow shadows across the cluttered desk. Larry leans in toward an old analog cassette recorder. His voice is a dry, harrowing whisper, intimate and terrifying, aimed directly at the microphone. They call this place paradise. He gestures vaguely to the black window behind him. White sand, smiling faces, a chance to find yourself. I found something all right. I found out how quickly paradise turns into a cage when you lose everything. My girl, she dumped me, left me standing on a dirt road in Iloilo with nothing but the clothes on my back and a maxed-out passport. You think you know loneliness? Try being the only Kano for 50 miles, broke and begging for a ticket home. Larry pauses, looking down. He runs a hand through his matted hair. His fingernails are strangely long, dark, and caked with dried mud, looking almost claw-like as they grip the edge of the desk. Everyone looked past me, like I was a ghost already. Everyone but Pablo. Good, patient Pablo. He owned this new station, built it right on the edge of the brush. He saw me, gave me water, gave me this shirt, offered me the shift no one else, not a single superstitious soul in this whole province, would touch. 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., the dead hours. He leans even closer to the microphone, his smile widening, becoming slightly manic. I thought I was lucky. I thought I was smart. Quiet, air-conditioned booth, low volume, easy money to fund my escape. I didn't believe their stories. I didn't understand why the silence here is different. It's not peaceful. It's waiting. Larry takes a slow, deep breath. The fluorescent light above him hisses aggressively, plunging his face into darkness for a split second before popping back on. He doesn't blink. But before Pablo left me that first night, before he locked the main door and drove away, he sat right where I am sitting now. He didn't smile. He just counted 5 things off his fingers, 5 rules, and he made me repeat them. He said, "Larry, if you want to see the sun again, you must remember these 5 things." The camera slowly pulls back, revealing more of the isolation. On the desk near his left hand, illuminated by a flickering oil lantern and a Bible, is a single handwritten index card titled Rules for Night Shift.
You have to understand, I didn't think I was signing up for a horror movie. I thought I was signing up for 8 hours of easy air conditioning. Pablo, he tried to warn me. He gave me 5 things to remember. 1, stay inside the booth after midnight. 2, keep the Bible on the desk open to Psalm 91. 3, if you hear clicking, do not look out the window. 4, never answer a voice that calls your name unless you recognize the face. 5, when the sun rises, you must pray. I nodded, I smiled, and the second he drove away, I put the Bible away and picked up a magazine. I thought I was smarter than this place. A title card appears over a clock face in the booth. 10 p.m., the dead calm. Larry is relaxed, reading a magazine, feet up on the desk. He's smoking a cigarette inside the booth. The lights are steady, only the sound of the jungle insects outside. For 2 hours, nothing. just silence. It was everything I wanted. I felt smart. I felt safe. I even made a plan. By next week, I'd have enough to buy my ticket to Cebu, then Manila, then home. Easy. We see the clock hit 10:59 p.m., a subtle crackle on the radio. 11 p.m., the smell of iron. The fluorescent light overhead begins a faint, high-pitched hum. Larry looks up, a subtle crackle of static on the radio he brought. He sniffs the air. Then, the first change. The air got heavier, colder, and it smelled off. Copper, blood, like an old slaughterhouse. I rationalized it. It's the country. They probably butcher animals at night. I ignored it. I was wrong. He turned the radio static off. The silence rushes back, deeper this time. 12 a.m., midnight watch. Rule number 1 and 3, check. The light flickers once. Larry checks his watch. Midnight. He looks toward the large, scratched glass window. The distant tree line, usually black, now seems alive with slow, large movements. I didn't want to look, I swear, but when the clock hit 12, something caught my eye, something that shouldn't be that tall, standing at the edge of the lot. It was shifting. It didn't have enough joints. It was the color of dust and decay, and it was staring right at my window. The static returned, but this time it was a pattern, a whisper. Tick, tick, tick. That gecko, remember? That was the sound, but it wasn't a gecko. It was it. It knew I was watching. And rule number 1 said I had to stay inside, but rule number 3 said don't look. I was stuck between two walls of fear. 1 p.m., the mimicry. Rule number 4, check. The clicking sound has increased in volume. It's now coming from multiple directions. Larry is pacing nervously in the small booth. The lights are growing less reliable. A high-pitched, desperate wail of a human infant erupts from the darkness just outside the glass. Then the sound changed. It wasn't clicking anymore. It was a baby crying, pitiful, desperate. My heart hammered. I wanted to help it. I wanted to open the door and look. Then I remembered rule number 4. Never answer a voice that calls your name unless you recognize the face. The cry stopped. Then I heard her. A high-pitched, perfect imitation of his Filipina ex-girlfriend weeps. Larry, where are you, Larry? Why did you leave me? I felt like I was being sliced open. It sounded just like her, but there was a flatness to the voice, a hollow echo. I didn't look. I squeezed my eyes shut. I started to understand why no one takes the night duty. 2 p.m., the first assault. A high-intensity flashback begins. The figure from midnight has now emerged. It dropped to all fours and charged the booth, slamming its shoulder against the wood and glass. The structure groans. The vertical mouth from the previous scene is pressing against the glass. The red eyes burn. The violent, wet sound of scratching claws ripping into the external wood siding of the booth. I wasn't safe anymore. It was trying to get in. The mimicry stopped, replaced by sheer fury. The window was cracking under the pressure of its vertical maw. It looked directly at me. It opened its jaws, and in my own voice, it quoted me. "This job is a breeze, right, Larry?" That's when I knew. This wasn't a random attack. It was mocking me. Larry is scrambling backward, knocking over the small radio. He remembered the door is unlocked. He fumbles for the keys. 3 a.m., the witching hour. The fluorescent light is now flickering wildly, creating a strobing effect. A single window pane on the side of the booth shatters inward. A thick, leathery, elongated black shape, the ashwang's tongue, shoots through the gap, tasting the air, searching the desk. I watched in paralysis as it writhed,
searching for something alive to taste. I grabbed the Bible, fumbling, unable to find Psalm 91. The strobing lights made the room feel like a cage. The ashwang's face was now half in the gap, its vertical maw split wide, showing rows of teeth designed for tearing. Larry, frozen by fear, finally makes a desperate, instinctive decision, abandoning the rules for raw survival. 4 a.m. Larry's fury. Larry is no longer a passive victim. We see a flashback of him actively fighting back. He has abandoned the Bible and found a bag of coarse salt and a cluster of garlic left by Pablo on the shelf near the desk, not on it. They called me smart. They called me progressive, but I wasn't fighting with progress. I was fighting with superstition, and I was fighting for my damn life. Pablo was right. This was a spiritual war. Larry grabbed a handful of salt and threw it with all his might directly at the vertical mouth of the ashwang that was half in the window gap. A wet, agonizing hiss erupted from the creature, like acid touching flesh. The face contorts, showing a flash of a beautiful human woman for a microsecond before snapping back into the leathery monster. It withdrew in pain. It screamed, not the baby cry, not the woman's voice. It was the sound of nothing dying. It worked. My skepticism died in that booth. I grabbed the garlic cluster and hammered it against the broken window pane, pressing the bulbs into the jagged edges. The clicking stopped. The smell of iron vanished. The entity was outside again, but it was huddling in the dark, watching the garlic with visible hatred. 5 a.m. The sun rises. Rule number 5, check. The clock hits 5 a.m. A distinct, slow crack of deep blue-orange light breaks over the distant Panay jungle. Larry, exhausted, bloody and covered in salt dust, collapses against the back wall of the booth. He looks at the window, then at his own elongated claw-like hands. The ticking stopped completely. A large, ragged black crow took flight from the station lot, its cry heavy and dry. The light. I never loved it until that moment. The creature didn't make a sound. It just turned back into its loping, disjointed shape and ran into the jungle. And in its place, a bird took flight. Rule number 5, when the sun rises, you must pray. I didn't know how to pray. I just wept. I wept for the smart American who died in this booth. The shot cuts back to present-day Larry, narrating from the grain 16mm frame. He is looking at the cassette recorder. His hands, gripping the carved wooden amulet and salt pouch, look disturbingly powerful and dark. I didn't get my ticket that day. It took weeks for Pablo to clean the station. He didn't ask me what happened. He just saw my hands. He saw the marks on the wood. He saw the open Bible on the desk, Psalm 91. I stayed on the night duty. No one else will take it. Now, when I hear the clicking, I don't look. I just smile. I know who is waiting, and I'm not the same smart Cano who arrived. Paradise is still a cage, only now I'm the one holding the keys to the zoo. Larry clicks the tape recorder off. The frame freezes on his unnerving smile.